I asked for an open marriage to save us now. On our anniversary, my husband is with a 25-year-old law student while I'm home alone with our kids. I wanted fun. He found someone new. And now I'm realizing I opened the door for him to walk right out. I'm Elaine, 34, and I guess you could say I'm living the consequences of what seemed like a brilliant idea at the time. A year ago, when Marcus and I decided to open our marriage, it honestly seemed like the perfect solution. We'd been together since college, married for 8 years, and let's just be real, the spark wasn't just gone, it was extinct. Dead, married? Like we were basically roommates who occasionally had obligation sex. You know what I'm talking about. So one night, after the kids went to bed, I just blurted it out, what if we tried seeing other people? The look on Marcus's face, I thought his eyes were going to pop out of his head. But then something weird happened. He didn't shut it down. We stayed up until 3 a.m. talking about it, setting boundaries and rules like we were emotional geniuses or something. Rule number 1 was that our marriage came first always. Rule number 2 was full disclosure, no sneaking around. Rule number 3 was no falling in love with other people. Simple, right? God, we were so naive. Between us, what I really wanted was some excitement back in my life. And maybe definitely I didn't think Marcus would actually find someone. I mean, he's not bad looking for 36, but he's so predictable. I honestly figured he'd download an app, get overwhelmed, and give up after a week. Meanwhile, I was making profiles on like 3 different apps. The very next day, I got matches right away. Nothing serious, just some fun little hookups, no string stuff. Exactly what I wanted. I'd come home feeling all energized, and for a while, things between Marcus and me were actually better. But then, about 2 months in, Marcus started acting different, checking his phone more, smiling at texts. At first, I thought, good for him. He finally matched with someone. But then he started talking about her, Kermi. Even her name made me want to roll my eyes. Who's actually named Kermi? It sounds made up. She's in her 2nd year of law school, he told me one night, practically glowing. She graduated summa cum laude from her undergrad. The way he said it, like he was so impressed. Sorry, I didn't finish college, I was busy having our kids. I played it cool though. That's great, babe. I'm happy for you, I said, while internally thinking, seriously, a 25-year-old law student? Could you be more cliché? But whatever, I figured it would fizzle out fast. But it didn't fizzle. It got worse. Suddenly, I'm canceling my Friday night plans because Marcus has a special date with Miss Perfect and someone needs to watch our kids. Or I'm lying in bed at midnight while Marcus whispers and laughs on the phone with her in our bedroom. When I'd ask him to take it elsewhere, he'd give me this look like I was being unreasonable. Then came the receipts, flowers, chocolates, a freaking Coach purse. When was the last time he bought me anything that wasn't household stuff or connected to the kids? Our anniversary last year we ordered takeout and watched Netflix. That was it. But suddenly, he's Mr. Romance for Kermi. The first time Marcus actually showed me a picture of her, I wanted to throw his phone across the room. She was exactly what you'd expect, young, pretty in that effortless way that only 25-year-olds can be, with this perfect smile and shiny hair, standing there in her fancy university sweatshirt, looking like she'd never pushed out 2 kids or gone 3 days using dry shampoo because she was too tired to shower. Her parents are pretty well off, Marcus mentioned casually. They paid for her undergrad and now law school. Must be nice, right? Meanwhile, we're still paying off my student loans from the degree I never finished. I smiled and nodded like I was genuinely happy for him, but inside I was seething. This girl had everything: youth, education, wealthy parents, and now my husband's undivided attention. Every time Marcus's phone would light up with her name, I'd watch his whole face change. That smile wasn't for me anymore. The worst part was how he started restructuring our entire family life around her. Suddenly, he's working late on Thursdays but actually meeting her for dinner. Or he's grabbing drinks with coworkers but texting her the whole time. Our weekends became negotiations over which days he'd be home with us versus with her. You see other people too, he'd remind me whenever I got snippy about it. But that was different. My hookups were just hookups, I wasn't building a whole separate relationship. 2 weeks before our anniversary, I decided to bring it up over dinner. So I said casually, I was thinking maybe for our anniversary we could get a sitter and go out somewhere nice. It's been a while since we've had a real date night. Marcus didn't even look up from his phone. When's our anniversary again? 8 years of marriage and he couldn't remember the date. Charming. January 31st, I said, trying to keep the edge out of my voice. Thursday after next. That's when he finally looked up, and I knew immediately something was wrong. He had that face, the one where his eyebrows do that thing when he's about to say something I won't like. Actually, he started, placing his phone down. I made plans with Kermi that night. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline. There wasn't one. You made plans with her on our wedding anniversary? He had the audacity to sigh like I was being unreasonable. It's to make up for missing her birthday last week. I was swamped with that project at work and too exhausted to go out. Remember, she was really understanding about it, but I promised I'd make it up to her, and our anniversary was the only night that worked for you too. I could hear my voice rising. We didn't do anything for our anniversary last year, he countered. We just stayed home, ordered takeout, and watched that movie you wanted to see. At least you were home. I hissed, with your wife and kids on your anniversary? I didn't think it would be a big deal, he said, looking genuinely confused. You've never cared that much about anniversaries before. That was before. Before he started spending all his time and attention on someone else. Before I realized I might actually be losing him. Obviously, your girlfriend's missed birthday is more important than our wedding anniversary, I said, pushing my plate away. Fantastic. Great to know where I stand. We argued more before Marcus just walked away from me and went into the guest bedroom. The kids were looking at me from the living room with those wide, concerned eyes that make you feel like the worst parent in the world. That's when something in me snapped. If Marcus wanted to play this game, fine. Two could play. I grabbed my phone and reopened the dating apps I'd been neglecting lately. I scheduled 3 dates in 5 days, bought a new outfit I couldn't really afford, and started leaving Marcus with the kids without much explanation, but the truth is those dates were awful. I found myself checking my watch, wondering if the kids had done their homework, if Marcus had remembered to give them their vitamins. Meanwhile, I'd started going through Marcus's phone whenever I could. Their texts were worse than I imagined, not because they were explicit, but because they were sweet. He sent her little good morning messages. They had inside jokes. He'd share articles about topics they discussed. It was the kind of thoughtful communication we hadn't had in years. Then came the anniversary day itself. Marcus left that morning without saying a word about it. No card, no acknowledgement, nothing. He came home from work, showered, changed into a nice button-down I'd given him last Christmas, and headed out the door with barely a "don't wait up." I sat on our couch after putting the kids to bed, alternating between crying and seething. Around 11 p.m., I did something I'm not proud of. I texted him, "Hope you're having fun celebrating our day with her." He didn't respond until almost midnight. "Please don't do this. We'll talk tomorrow." When Marcus came home the next day, I was waiting. The kids were at my mom's for the night. "We need to talk," I said as soon as he walked in. "This isn't working." "What isn't working?" "Elaine, this arrangement. You're falling for this girl. That wasn't part of the deal." He looked at me for a long moment. "The deal was we could see other people. That's what I'm doing." "The deal was our marriage comes first," I countered. "But you're spending all your time, energy, and money on her. And you've been going on dates all week to try to make me jealous," he shot back. I felt my face flush. "That's different." "How? How is it different, Elaine?" "Because I'm not falling in love with anyone else." The words came out louder than I intended. The room went quiet. Too quiet. "And you think I am?" His voice was dangerously soft. "There," Marcus ran a hand through his hair. "I enjoy spending time with Kermie. She's smart. She's interesting. She makes me laugh. Is that a crime?" "It is when you're married to me." He let out a bitter laugh. "You wanted an open marriage, Elaine. This is what that looks like. Did you think I'd just have meaningless sex with strangers while you did the same and nothing would change between us? I thought we'd have some fun on the side while keeping our family intact." I was shouting now. "I didn't think you'd replace me." "I haven't replaced you," he said, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. "Then end it," I said, stepping closer to him. "End it with her now." Marcus finally looked at me, and something in his expression made my stomach drop. "I don't want to end it." Those 5 words hung in the air between us. "You want to separate because of her?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Not because of her," he said, sounding tired. "Because this clearly isn't working. You're unhappy. I'm unhappy. We're fighting all the time." The next 2 weeks were a nightmare. Marcus moved his things into the guest room temporarily while we figured things out. Temporarily, right? I did what any rational woman would do. I called everyone I knew to tell them what was happening. I painted myself as the victim of his midlife crisis, conveniently leaving out the part where I suggested opening the marriage in the first place. Meanwhile, I started bombarding him with photos of the kids, family memories, emotional appeals. I was trying everything to remind him what he was risking. I tried the direct approach too. One night, after the kids were asleep, I put on lingerie under my robe and walked into the guest room without knocking. Marcus was on his laptop. "What are you doing?" he asked, closing it. I let the robe drop. "Reminding you what you're giving up." For a moment, I thought it might work. I saw that flicker in his eyes, but then he looked away. "Elaine, don't. This isn't going to solve anything. I've never felt so humiliated in my life." The next morning, he told me he was going to look at apartments. That night, I did something I'm not proud of. I waited until he was in the shower, then grabbed his phone. I opened his text thread with Kermie and started typing as him, "I need to cancel tonight. Family emergency." Her response came quickly. "Everything okay?" I typed back. "Have to deal with some things with Elaine. She's not handling things well." "I understand," she replied. "Take the time you need. I'm here for you." When Marcus found out what I'd done, the look he gave me, I'd never seen such disappointment and disgust on his face, not in 8 years of marriage. "You had no right," he said quietly. "And you have no right to throw away our family for some little girl." I shot back. Instead of arguing, he just shook his head and walked out the door. I got a text from my friend Amber an hour later. I'm at Bailey's bar downtown, and guess who just walked in? Marcus and some young girl. They're right across from me. A plan formed in my mind instantly. Stay there. I'm coming. I called my neighbor to watch the kids, threw on some makeup, and drove downtown. When I arrived, I marched over to their table and slammed my hands down on it. Well, isn't this cozy? I said loudly. The conversation around us dimmed as people turned to watch. Marcus looked up, shocked, turning quickly to anger. Elaine, what are you doing here? I thought I'd meet the famous Korean person, I said, turning to her. The woman who's destroying my family? Her eyes widened. I think I should go. No, you shouldn't, Marcus said firmly, not looking at me. Elaine is the one who's leaving. He guided me firmly toward the door while everyone stared. Outside in the parking lot, Marcus finally let go of my arm. What the hell are you doing following me, making a scene in public? I wanted to see the woman you're throwing our marriage away for, I shouted. This is exactly the kind of behavior I can't deal with anymore, Elaine. The drama, the manipulation, the guilt trips. Oh, I'm so sorry my reaction to my husband having an affair is inconvenient for you. Marcus laughed bitterly. It's not an affair when you literally suggested we see other people. You don't get to change the rules when you don't like how things are going. Are you in love with her? I whispered. Marcus looked away. I don't know what I feel, but I know I can't keep living like this. The next day, Marcus came home only to pack a suitcase. I'm going to stay at Paul's for a while, he said. I'll pick up the kids from school on Friday. Spend the weekend with them. 2 weeks after he moved out, he asked me to meet him at a coffee shop to discuss our situation. I've been thinking a lot, he started after we ordered. I want a divorce, Elaine. 5 words that shattered whatever hope I'd been clinging to. I've talked to a lawyer, he continued. I'm prepared to be more than fair with assets, support, custody. I want this to be as amicable as possible for the kids. So you're just giving up 8 years of marriage, 2 kids, and you're just walking away? You checked out of this marriage long before I did, he said quietly. The open relationship was just the final step. The divorce proceedings. The divorce proceedings were as amicable as a slow-motion car crash. Marcus was annoyingly reasonable about everything, offering fair splits of assets, flexible custody arrangements, even letting me keep the house if I could afford the payments. Meanwhile, Kermie was becoming a fixture in my children's lives. They'd come home from weekends with Marcus talking about Dad's friend who made pancakes with chocolate chips or helped them with homework. My daughter even mentioned that Charm had braided her hair like a princess. She's not their mother, I snapped once when Marcus dropped them off. No one's trying to replace you, Elaine, he said calmly. But she's part of their lives now, and she cares about them. For now, I said bitterly. Until she gets bored playing house and moves on to the next older man who worships her. Sometimes you can know someone better after 6 meaningful months than after 8 distracted years, he replied. And the truth in those words stung worse than any insult. As the divorce became finalized, I tried dating again. But the men I met all seemed lacking in some way, too boring, too needy, too shallow. My dating life had devolved into a series of disappointing coffee meetups and awkward goodnight hugs. Then came the morning I was scrolling through Facebook and saw it. Marcus had updated his relationship status, in a relationship with Kermie Patel. There was a picture of them together, looking disgustingly happy at some hiking spot. The comments were full of congratulations, including from several of our mutual friends. The final blow came 3 months later. I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw a post from our mutual friend Jin. It was a group photo at some restaurant, and there they were Marcus and Charm. But what caught my eye was the small diamond ring clearly visible on Charm's left hand. Engaged. They were engaged. I dropped my phone like it had burned me. Without thinking, I grabbed my keys and drove to Marcus's apartment. I sat in my car watching the entrance, not sure what I was even doing there. After an hour, I saw them walking across the parking lot holding hands. Marcus was carrying grocery bags in his free hand. They were laughing about something, completely wrapped up in each other. Kermie leaned into him as they walked, and he kissed the top of her head. It was such a small gesture, but it broke something in me. He used to kiss the top of my head like that back when things were good between us. I slumped down in my seat as they walked past, not wanting to be seen. On the drive home, a strange calm settled over me. I'd spent nearly a year raging against the inevitable, fighting a battle that was lost before it began. Meanwhile, Marcus had moved on and built a new life that seemed to make him genuinely happy. I sat on the couch and did something I hadn't allowed myself to do yet. I cried. Not the manipulative tears I'd used to try to win Marcus back, but deep, body-shaking sobs of grief and loss. Because the truth, the terrible, uncomfortable truth I'd been avoiding was that I had started this. I'd suggested opening our marriage not to strengthen our bond but because I was bored and restless. I wanted excitement without having to give up security. I wanted freedom without consequences. The wedding invitation arrived on a Tuesday. A simple cream envelope with my name written in elegant calligraphy. My first instinct was to rip it up. My second was to laugh hysterically. Who invites their ex-wife to their wedding? There was a handwritten note from Kermie. I know this might seem strange, but we would genuinely like you to be there if you feel comfortable. The kids are so excited, and it would mean a lot to them to have both their parents present. The note sent me spiraling. It was so nice I wanted to hate her for it, but the anger I'd been nursing for so long was starting to feel exhausting. The wedding was at a boutique hotel downtown. I wore a navy blue dress that I knew looked good on me. My sister came as my +1 for moral support. The ceremony was beautiful. Damn it. My kids performed their roles perfectly. My son was ring bearer. My daughter was flower girl. Marcus looked happier than I'd seen him in years. And Kermie was radiant. Marcus came over at one point during the reception. "Thanks for coming," he said. "It means a lot to the kids and to us." "They seem happy," I said, nodding toward where my children were twirling on the dance floor. "They are," he agreed. "Having you here makes it easier for them." "You look good, Elaine," he said finally. "Really good." "Therapy," I replied with a small shrug. "Turns out it actually helps." Later, Kermie appeared beside me. "Thank you for coming. I know this couldn't have been easy." I could have said something cutting. Could have made a scene. Instead, I just nodded. The kids were really excited about it. "They talk about you all the time, you know," she said, surprising me. "They are so proud of their mom. I want you to know I'm not trying to replace you," she continued. "I could never do that. But I do love them, and I'll always make sure they know how lucky they are to have you as their mother. Just take care of them," I managed. "And him too, I guess." As I drove home that night, I felt something shift inside me. The rage that had been my constant companion had dulled to a manageable ache. I thought about what my therapist always said: holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. For 2 years, I'd been poisoning myself. I'd open a door without considering who might walk through it or who might walk out. That night, I deleted the dating apps from my phone. The next morning, I called my sister. "I think I'm ready to move on," I told her. "For real this time." It wouldn't be easy. I had a lot of work to do on myself, on my relationship with my kids, on building a life that wasn't defined by anger and victimhood. But for the first time in 2 years, I felt like it might be possible. We agreed to open our marriage, and I lost everything I took for granted. But maybe, just maybe, I could find something new in the space that loss created. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. One step at a time.